Welcome back, everyone. Our first guest talked about coping with death and loss. For our next guest, though, it is all about life and rebirth. He is the president of Planet Fillmore Communications, and he has also won an award from the West Coast Blues Hall of Fame in the Blues Film Documentary category. Lance Burton, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your honor. Now, you are a product of the Fillmore. We're talking about the Fillmore district in San Francisco. You grew up there.
I did, yes. In the 1950s, I grew up on Fillmore and O'Farrell Street.
And you named your company Planet Fillmore Communications. What exactly does it do? And who does it represent? Well,
it's a communication business, and it uses multimedia tools in order to do feature stories and profiles for folks who are in our community and around the planet, for that matter.
And speaking of one person in your community inducted into the West Coast Blues Hall of Fame, legendary San Francisco Music Club owner Bunny Simon, who is featured in one of your documentaries. Tell us about Bunny.
I'm a big fan of Bunny's. As a youngster growing up, I mean, he was one of those guys you saw on the street and you said, oh, there's the guy. He was a legend. He was a legend. I want to be like him when I grow up. But he had this great club over on Divisadero Street called the Playpen. And, you know, he drove around in real nice cars, and, you know, he was just a fantastic guy.
Let's quickly take a look at a clip, an interview with Bunny Simon on KPIX Radio.
Actually, she says it's Angelou now. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But anyway, we worked on Fillmore. When I was working for the post office, I'd work extra jobs in the evening. And Maya and I worked at Melrose Record Shop, owned by Dave Rosenbaum. Maya sold records, and I sold television sets. We had a television concession there. So we worked together, I don't know how long, but we certainly got to know each other well.
So when you go down...
Wow, Bunny Simon apparently had just an incredible eye for talent. In addition to Maya Angelou, who are some of the other famous people that he booked, who got their start
He gave Sly Stone his very first performance act, Freddie and the Stone Souls and Sly. There was also Red Fox, there was O.C. Smith, there was, you know, there was a host of folks that...
What did you say, Ike and Tina Turner as well?
Ike and Tina Turner, yeah. Benny King, Etta James, I mean, Brooke Benton.
Well, you are actually part of an effort, I think the main drive of trying to preserve this musical history of the Fillmore via YouTube, so people all over the world can understand the importance of this history.
Absolutely. That's the wonderful thing about the internet now, is that you can start off in a space right here in your own garage, if you will, and send a signal all the way around the planet.
I bet you've gotten emails from all over the world, people who love jazz and want to know more about the history.
That's true. They also are interested in places like Marcus Bookstore and the Jazz Heritage Center.
Tell me how the Marcus Bookstore, which is the oldest independently owned black bookstore in the country, is involved with all of this.
Well, we call it the keeper of the culture, because it's from 1950, the doctors Julian and Ray Richardson, who graduated from Tuskegee, and the graduates of Tuskegee were all charged.
Tuskegee Institute in Alabama.
Exactly. They were all charged to go out and do things and sacrifice of themselves to better their people. And that's what Marcus Books strives to do. It tries to take its community and lift it up. And the culture of the Fillmore is a great place to start, and that's what they've been focused on for 50 years.
It must be an incredible bookstore. As we look at the Fillmore and we look at the videos that you have put on YouTube, when people look at these, is it more about the music or is it more about the people?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, because the music, you know, the interesting thing about our community is that, in the Fillmore, is that some of the greatest talents of all times have come through there. But when you look back at the relationships that they built, that's what made that community. It's the relationships between the club owners, the side men, the restaurants who fed these folks, the people who put them up at that time. I mean, because many of them couldn't stay in hotels downtown, so.
As you look at the Fillmore district, it certainly has had its share of economic ups and downs. What is next for this vibrant neighborhood?
Well, we're very optimistic that, you know, with the two wonderful clubs, the Fillmore Auditorium and Yoshi's, that the ancillary organizations around those clubs will also benefit. And so as we go forward, I mean, there's no place else in San Francisco where you can go and within 2 or 3 blocks find international talent.
And now everyone can understand and enjoy this history. Lance Burton,
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us.
You're quite welcome.
And for more information on Lance, Planet Fillmore Communications, and to see his films, you can log on to youtube.com/MarcusBooksMusic. And speaking of music, a little more for you when we return.